In this episode of Day Job,
presented by Sparesbox,
which is probably really more an evening job, we're installing a catch can into our GR Yaris. So first up, why are we installing a catch can in our GR Yaris when it's such a new car and it's barely modified? Well, if you need to ask that question, the first thing you need to do right now is go and watch the tech video that I made about 6 months ago called Why Every Car Ever Needs an Oil Catch Can or Oil Air Separator, depending on what you want to call it, because they do. They all need it. The reason that they don't have it from factory is purely due to emissions, but we want to go racing, we want performance, so we want to obviously maximise it, so a catch can is needed. We've got one from GRP Parts.
I'll show you this.
We're going off script. What do you do?
That's 3,000 Ks in a modern engine of capture.
Yep. So go and watch the video where we explain to you while putting your oil vapour back into your intake, although great for emissions, is actually bad for performance and bad for your engine, especially when you race or modify. So go and watch that video and then you'll see why. Now Grub does make catch cans for the i30M, but what happened?
It doesn't fit. There's no room in there.
It doesn't fit. So GRP Parts, who have been developing heaps of GR Yaris stuff, obviously their exhaust, they've sent us down a catch can kit for this car, and soon they're going to send down a PCV delete. That's later, but right now, let's take a look at this catch can in a cool music that you don't like montage. Okay, first things first, factory breather, off, voila. Definitely a little bit of oil in there. That's, every car does it, every car breathes, all right, Grub? Take these off.
Explain why they breathe?
I've done a video on that. They can go watch the other video. I'm not explaining it for the 1000th time. By thousandths, I mean second time. So the catch can's pretty simple. You open it up, basically you have air in, air out, but it has to go through this mesh section and steel wool inside, and the whole idea is oil vapor goes through there, turns back into a liquid, drops back into this container and catches it. So the air going into the turbo no longer has a whole bunch of oil in it, which ruins the octane rating of the fuel and puts gunk and crap everywhere. Little dipstick on there so you can see if it's full and due to be changed. So running the lines on the top is relatively easy. The line fits into a little factory groove here that keeps it all nice and neat. And the best thing is, this goes back on. So the only thing noticeable now with that catch can is there's one factory looking rubber hose over the back here. So you've got to be pretty keen-eyed to spot what's going on, but it does return back into the intake, doesn't bleed to atmosphere, so it's legal anyway. So at first glance, it looks pretty complicated to try and get this thing to mount up in there, but basically the bracket they've already made, obviously because it's a kit for a Yaris, there's two holes here and you're like, oh, I can't see any. Oh, there we go. There's actually two studs sticking out of the chassis rail with nothing attached to them.
Oh, sweet.
So you literally just get a spacer like this and a nut on the other side and it's in. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the lines on here first, because we all know what a pain in the ass AN fittings can be if you haven't got a bit of movement. So I need to shrink my hands a little bit for this next part. So at first glance, it looks really difficult to get to the oil air separator or catch can. But believe it or not, if you were to turn the steering wheel, you could reach your hand in there and reach in, unscrew it, and get it out in between the chassis rail and the tie rod end in a nice little gap here, like that. So what we're going to do from here is we're basically going to check it after every track day or every 1,000 Ks as well, just so that we can get an idea of well, basically how long you need to go between draining it. It might go 5,000 Ks, same as the oil change, which would be good, but it might not. So, and one way to find out, and let's go test it.